So my story is very interesting. Despite that, I also sit on the board of um, women corporate directors. We are trying to put women on boards in the whole of Africa. In fact, the whole of world is an international body. I also sit on the board for Danish embassy called the Business Advocacy Fund. We advocate to get funds for association, professional association, to lobby the government to bring in new acts, new rules, new laws to improve businesses and professionals. But my story started back in 1995 in my sitting room. I had been working severally for several other companies. Actually, I'm a teacher by profession. I'm the first lady teacher, African lady teacher to teach at Lenana School, but I was not satisfied. I felt that teaching would not give me all the things I wanted. I wanted to drive a good car. I wanted to wear this good I'm wearing right now. And I thought that maybe teaching would not do so. So I taught at Lenana School, then I left. I joined as just a saleswoman, a salesman for Kodak, and people were asking me, how can you, like my father did not approve, how can you leave a noble job like teaching to go and walk the streets of Nairobi? But actually I knew what I wanted, so that's when I got into marketing. And because I also saw that I didn't know anything about marketing, I had a Bachelor of Education, I went to Nairobi University and did a diploma in marketing so that I know what can be done. So I worked severally, and then I worked for Boots Pharmaceuticals as a sales rep, then as a product manager. I left, then I went for J&J as a business development manager. I got then a job again with GSK as a GM in Tanzania. It did not work out very well. Tanzanians did not like Kenyans. I came back home and I started working for McCann Erickson, is an advertising agency. And all along, my friends used to tell me, Jennifer, you should start business because you are good in the GAB and your PR is very good. So why don't you start business? But actually, I didn't want to start business. I got into business by default. I was forced by circumstances to start business because there was a lot of politics at where I was working. And while I was there, actually, I saw an opportunity. Is that I was handling this account for Kenya breweries, and they were being beaten by South African breweries, especially they had brought in canned beer called Castle, and everybody really wanted Castle, and they didn't know how to go about it. So I told a friend of mine if we can give her that business to start. I told her exactly what is supposed to happen. Before we could start, it was so unbearable for me to work where I was, so I resigned and I joined her. And we started working with Kenya breweries, and especially in the market, in the supermarkets. It's a long story. I can go on and go on. They didn't have those days. A lot of beer in this country is drunk warm, but worldwide people like cold beer, and there was of course a lot of the expatriate market that was buying from the supermarket. So one of the things we did was to introduce fridges in the supermarket. And what meant is that now we had to advise the supermarket, advise them, and that's how the business started from. But I used to work with her, but also it's very important to have a partner who has a vision like yourself. If they don't have a vision like you really part. I was struggling financially, her she was not really struggling financially. At one time, we had to part ways. And how did I do it? So I got my sister, who I wrote a proposal rather, and I got my sister to type it. And when she typed it, then I had to go and take it to those bureaus. You know those days when there used to be a lot of bureaus, You either go type for you and so on. So they did photocopying for me, and I started walking the street. But the most important thing is that the networking. The same friends of mine who used to tell me, Jennifer, you should start business, I went to them and they opened doors for me. So it's very important that the people you work with or the people who know you, and also just be known. Again, in the Marketing Society of Kenya, not that I took any position, I did not get to elected, but I was very vibrant in asking questions to be known and so on. So people knew who Jennifer Barassa was then. I'm very loud. I'm very loud, and I was known that to be very kimbelembele, but actually it has helped that kimbelembele, because I would ask questions, I would do things and so on. So when I went, my first business like Total was given to me. I did the Total Motor Show by Kenny Kiara because we worked with him. Sarah Lee was John Mureithi. I were the first people to go into the banks to tell people the automated, to go to the teller machine. That then there are not so many people who are coming and so on and what have you. So I took the girls from the university, put them in a uniform, took them to the banking hall to tell people that really you don't have to line up to get your balances and things like those ones. You can go to the ATM. We were the first people to do that those days. And I always remember, and I say this is a friend of mine, she gave me work at Standard Chartered, and I always say I've made my first million within the next 6 months of starting the business, just training and so on. But the good thing then, things were not like today. We used to go for businesses and we demand and we insist, and those were the terms, 50% with LPO. So that helped me to go do my business in the sense that, and actually, what I forgot to tell you, I bought my first computer, and I was working from home, called a Compact. I don't know if they are there anymore. And a printer called Lexmark. And sometimes when I'm doing those, and that time I was the managing director, I was the secretary, I was the messenger, I was everything. I'm working from the city, not from the house. Used to live in Hurlingham then. And sometimes you want to go and see the client, and the client, you are printing things, and the Lexmark is going slow. Cock. And sometimes you have it's smudged, then you have to go back and so on. So what did I decide also? To buy an answering machine, so that now when people call, they can. No, before I bought an answering machine, I used to have a house help who used to do work for me. So they would call the house, and then he would tell them, and it was Hallelujah, Madam is not in. So my friends told me, surely Jennifer, with your image, you can't have people doing like that. So now I bought a machine where I said, thank you very much, you've reached top image, I'm out, and you leave a message, blah, blah, which was quite different. So I've come from far. Then I moved to... This is a true story, how I made it. So I've never looked for loans. I didn't get a loan at all, because remember we had 50% deposit. So I used that really to do the work and then wait. And then it used to be 30 days you are paid your money. The only challenge was that sometimes they kept a check. Those what are they called? Cashiers would keep a check for long until you take it to kidogo mama later chai. And sometimes they just is 500 so that you do so. Otherwise you don't get your check. So I worked for companies like BAT. We are fighting their war. Now, maybe I didn't tell you what I do. What we do is Top Image is an experiential agency or promotion agency. We do a lot of merchandising in order to dress up the product in the supermarket and to look good, because they say eye level is buy level. We are the people who are those pesky girls, as you think, who always hustle you all the time, buy this and so on, to tell you what to buy and so on. Actually, we are the face at the end of the product. So we are the face of the product to the consumer. So it's very, very important that companies hire us. So we did that quite for a long time, and the business came in very well, good. And I remember when Flora was starting, we were working for Ketepa. We used to do a lot of work for Ketepa. So we did that for many years until 2006. That's when now Top Image, we got a very good break. We've been working with Safaricom since 2004. We are the oldest agency, having worked for Safaricom even up to date. So in June 2006, I remember Safaricom were pitching for this product called M-Pesa. We didn't know it was called M-Pesa, then they didn't tell us. So at that time, I was working with the CEO, Sylvia Mlinge, who they wanted really to work with me since when she was in Unilever. And I remember when I was put among the people who were going to tender that business, told me, Jennifer, Mama, she used to call me Mama even now, Mama, if you fail in this product and it's for Michael Joseph, kiss Safaricom, you'll never work for Safaricom again. So we went in, we signed a non-disclosure agreement that you cannot say what it is. They told us what the product is, and then 6 of us went away to tell Safaricom how to go to the market, route to the market, and how to do it. And luckily for me, because I'd worked for many years for a company called Kodak, I was a sales rep. When I left teaching, I joined Kodak as a sales rep. And my job was at one time called a marketing education coordinator. And what does a marketing coordinator used to do is to go around showing people how to load cameras. You know those days when there are those films of the cameras and then the exposure and the like. So I used to go around the country doing that because it's very important to show the consumer, the retailer or the sales assistant, how when somebody comes to buy the camera, how to use it and how to load it. So that's what I used to do. And I translated that into M-Pesa. So when I went to talk to M-Pesa, Safaricom, I am the one who came up with the idea that you need to train these retailers at the shop, at the counter. Because retailers, when you call them to come out, may I have water? Maybe some water, please. When you tell them to come for training, some of them will demand money because they want transport. It's also expensive to have to give them lunch or dinner, or sometimes they also want novelties. So that's what I told them, you cannot just launch the product because nobody understood how this product will work. So when I told them like that, and also I told them the challenges that I had received. Thank you, because every time I sent my father money home, and I come from Busia, it took him so long to get that money. Because the post office where they used to go telegram was about 12 kilometers. Sometimes when you went there was no the postmaster, and he had to go several times even to get that little money. So I was so passionate about it. I told them if this thing works, it will really work very well. I told them it will work. I remember the person in charge of the product wanted to be giving me an LPO on a monthly basis. I told them, no, it will work. So, but one thing I told Safaricom was that we need to teach these dealers or assistants to know the product like the back of their hands, because they are the ones who will be dealing with the consumers. And therefore, they cannot launch soon. We needed to develop and train the market, the agents, for about 3 to 4 months before we can launch. And we started working now in December. We got our LPO to start working in December, and it was launched on 7th of March. And what I did and what I told them and what we did is what is still being used today. As such, in 2008, when the product has gone exponentially and so on, people will go to Safaricom and ask them, we want to launch also M-Pesa, money transfer. How do you do it? They'll be told, go to Top Image or go to Mama. She's the one who knows how to go about it. As a result, my first contract outside the country was Uganda with MTN. And then we did such a wonderful job. Then we went to Cote d'Ivoire. And now we have a group contract with MTN. Top Image is in Kenya, Uganda, Zambia, Benin, Cameroon, Nigeria, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Peru, Cameroon. And we are when people want to scale up when it comes to M-Pesa, it is Top Image. If you read about the story of M-Pesa and the World Bank, you'll find that Top Image is mentioned there, because they used to say that we are the police for Safaricom. It's only after 2 years that Safaricom now started having their own sales rep. Right now, I've just come back last week, yes, from South Africa. MTN has tried 3 times. I say they have had an abortion 3 times to launch their mobile money. I now have a team of 300 people there. What I didn't tell you that the rest of Africa, as we call it, I have we have, my daughter tells me, why, by the way, now, let me just go back. For a long time, people used to say, Mama, this thing is growing so big, you need an assistant. And your daughter is in marketing, why can't she join you? And every time I asked Bidanya to join me, she used to tell me, Mommy, you can't afford me. Because she was working for Nestle, she was working for Tetra Pak, international bodies, and she thinks she could not join the company. But when she did, we really surprised her. So right now, when I say I, she tells Mom, it's we. So now we just came back from South Africa, where we have a group of 300 people, and they want to add us more because we scale up. We are the people who go and recruit agents. We recruit agents for the MNO, or Mobile Network Organization. We set them up, we train them up, we monitor them, we follow up to ensure that they have enough float. And not so many people are able to do that, so Top Image does that. So some of those countries I mentioned are also orange. Like Madagascar, we are working for orange. Mali, it is orange. Niger, it's orange. Senegal is orange. It's the orange, as they call it, but orange. And when we go out, they call us Top Image. That's what they call us. So that's how we grew up, and what has made us grow up also, I'm very, very, very tenacious. I'm a very go-getter. I push, and I'm also very resilient, and we leave nothing to chance. We are very, very result-oriented, and that's why we are still working for Safaricom even up to date. And not only in the area of MFS or mobile financial services or digital services, but we also do their promotions, because that's what we used to do best before we got into this space. But it has been a wonderful journey. It's been good, but it's also difficult. As an owner of the business, you work 24 hours. You don't sleep. Anytime you are sleeping and you are thinking about the businesses, yeah? And there are times when clients don't pay you money on time, so you have to look for those funds and so on. The challenge we are having right now is bringing money back home. A few years ago, it was so easy. We'll just apply and the money will come to Kenya. But now, all those countries, when you apply, it has to go to their central bank to come to Kenya. So it's not easy. But I know I have been, like somebody talked about Ethiopia. Some Ethiopian came to want to have a business partnership with us, Top Image, but they were trying to take us for a ride. So we refused. We also know where we can do, and so we can manage or not. We've lost 1 or 2, 3 contracts because we don't have local representation. When I make local, we don't have a local partner, because when we go there, it's Top Image South Sudan. We have also worked, by the way, South Sudan. We register Top Image South Sudan or Cameroon and so on. So we have learned through the hard way, because now people say it's a foreign country. Why do we give them business? They have now learned business for us about 3 years or so, or 5 years. They want to throw us out. So that has really been a challenge. We say that now we need to get local partners so that we can continue with our business. But the business has grown, right? Just from the sitting room, now we have an office in at Wilson Airport. We have bought space. We are at Westland. We have now bought another office space in Spring Valley. So it's done well. But I can tell you it was not easy. At that time, Bidanya was doing at the USIU. And I remember her one semester fees was 45,000. I would bounce that check, and those days they would charge us 5,000. So again, to do that, it was so difficult. I also talked to her because when she was at Green Acre School, all her friends went to outside the country. I told her, you go to USIU, and when the company makes money, I'll be able to send you out of the country. So when she finished at USIU, she went to work for McCann. Okay, one thing I've not told you interesting is that she came work for me for 6 months, then she took off. Why? Because I could not get her ideas. Just like Flora was saying, she wanted to digitize, now I can call it computerize her mother's business, and she refused. So she just went and told me, Mom, you can't believe what I'm doing. She went to work for another agency, which has an advertising scan ad, for less than what I used to pay her. But I'm that type of a mother who do not do what? Bembeleza her, make her look good. She still had to buy food in the house. and pay the water and electricity at half of the salary just to make her work hard. And that has made her become different. There are no jokes. I said, this money we don't collect to teach her a few lessons. Now she has taken over. Actually, now she's the managing director. Since I had a problem with my back and a doctor here messed it up, that's where I'm limping. Now I've been actually on 5 months medical leave. This is my 6th month. I can now walk. I thank God for that. Now she's taken over. She's doing a great job, but not completely. Like I tell her, you can take over as the MD, but you cannot take over as the financial director. She might just decide to buy herself a nice car. So that's where we have come from. So there's at least a succession, and that's actually when Bidanya came was because I used to go as a spokesperson or as somebody to talk to the MBA classes at Strathmore Business School and at USIU. They used to tell me, Jennifer, your company you are running so successful. When are you going to have succession plans? But it was difficult to get her on board. Now she's on board. She's very happy, and I don't have to be in the office every day. So that's how I did it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Questions, please, to Madam Barassa. You definitely have to. The story of resilience, story of passion. Anyone who'd like to engage? You remember the first time you interacted when you were giving you the Forbes Award? You remember the Africa Forbes Award?
Yes,
and you've not spoken about your award.
That was the second one.
That was the second award.
Now, you see, the first award when SME, Kenya Medium-Sized Companies, KPMG, started in 1998, we entered it. In fact, I told them, how do you know? Because then the threshold was that you must be, your revenues must be about 70 million. So I asked them, how did you know that? They told me, but through the KRA people that they could see from the returns. The first time I entered into that, I was lady entrepreneur, 1998 to, 2000, 208, 209, it's 208, 209, leading lady entrepreneur. And that time the company was number 10. The following year we entered, I was again the leading lady entrepreneur, and we were first runner-up. And in fact, the first one was my cousin who was in construction company. So it was like a Busia thing. Then the next year came African Business Awards. African Business Awards. Before people like Roche, even Jinadine came, I came number 1 to be the East African Business Woman of the Year. And they have followed, they have had other menace I can't even talk about and so on. So it's just been a lot of resilience. You must show your presence, awareness. And when you used to go, and you must be good in what you do. And I tell people, I'm good in what I do. And I used to tell people those days, they used to, Jennifer is very loud. She thinks she's the best. So 208, 209, I show them, actually I'm the best, even in this industry. And even now, I still tell them, I'm the best and so on. But how do you become the best? It's by knowing your business you are operating in. By knowing what the customer wants and giving them those customers, the clients. And we never fail our clients at all, whichever country we go. And they know that if you bring top image on board, you'll get your result. We are very, very result-oriented. One thing we have not done is we have not actually worked. We only worked one government board, which is CCK, a few years ago. But actually, our business right now is outside the country, it's not in Kenya, in those several countries. So I have structures, I'm the founder, I have the MD, I have the operations director, and others are going country directors and etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please give her a round of applause until she gets to her seat. Thank you.